ready to go?
Recording in progress.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the January meeting of the Redevelopment Commission. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Our first order of business is oath of office. We stand.
Absolutely stand up. Make it official.
See our physiques. Thanks.
Right hand, say aye, state your name in full, and repeat after me.
I, Dennis Jordan,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
of America and the Constitution of the State
and the Constitution of the State
of Indiana,
of Indiana,
and will faithfully,
impartially,
and lawfully carry out my duties as a member of the St. Joseph County Redevelopment Commission.
as a member of the St. Joseph County Redevelopment Commission.
Congratulations. You, please sign. And print your names on the oath.
Okay, just this here.
Yep.
Okay. The next order of business is election of officers. We're electing the positions of president, vice president, and secretary. Is there a motion of,
Yeah, Mr. President, now would be the appropriate time to open the floor for nominations for president.
okay.
I nominate Dennis Jordan, President.
If there's no other nominations, then a motion to nominate Mr. Jordan would be appropriate. We open the floor for nominations, now we need a motion to nominate.
Motion to nominate Dennis Jordan, President.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goebel,
Aye.
Mr. Horvath,
Aye.
and Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we'd open the floor for nominations for vice president.
Nominate Ben Horvath, Vice President.
I second.
There's no other nominations. A motion to appoint Mr. Horvath as vice president would be appropriate.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goebel,
Aye.
Mr. Jordan,
Aye.
and Mr. Horvath.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'd open the floor for nominations for secretary.
I nominate Josh Goebel for secretary.
If there's no other nominations, a motion would be appropriate.
I motion for Josh Goebel to serve as secretary.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Horvath,
Aye.
Mr. Jordan,
Aye.
and Mr. Goebel.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Congratulations. The first item on the agenda is the written determination on bid openings. And so that's an add-on that was added to the packet. You should have a copy of that. The St. Joseph County Redevelopment Commission hereby makes a written determination that it is in the best interest of the RDC to delay the opening of bids pursuant to Indiana Code 5-22-18-3 for the project 92401W, SJEC Water Transmission Main and Fillmore Road Utilities Project. This delay in opening of bids is in the best interest of the RDC, as the county city building, the stated location for opening of bids, was closed due to an emergency failure of the heating system due to extreme cold weather experienced in the period of January 13, 2024 to January 17, 2024. The day and time and place of the rescheduled opening was announced electronically, also posted in the county city building and on the county city building as the county city building was closed. And so what we'd ask for you to do is make a written determination that today bids should be opened. Bids were due at 9 o'clock today, and bids should be opened at the meeting today. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to let Phil answer them.
And this just takes care of our statutory requirements. We obviously couldn't make a written determination on the day of our last meeting because we couldn't have a meeting, so today is the first opportunity for the board to do so.
Do we need a motion to receive?
We would do a motion to approve in a second.
Motion to receive.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Goebel,
Aye.
Mr. Horvath,
Aye.
and Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So the next item on the agenda would be opening of bids for the Fillmore Road Utilities SJEC Water Transmission Main Project. And we'll let Andy Lamberis from DLC open the bids, please.
Good morning. Andy Lamberis with DLZ here. I believe we've received one bid for the project. It is from HRP Construction. It appears that they do have their bid in order, but we will review that. We've got a base bid and then an alternate one bid. The base bid for the project is $4,293,309.50. That's $4,293,309.50 for the base bid. For bid alternate number one, the bid amount is $5,153,364.50. That's $5,153,364.50. And that is the only bid that was received.
If there's no questions for Mr. Lamberis, a motion for staff to receive the bids for consideration would be appropriate.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goebel?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is economic development updates, budget information. So in your packets, you will notice the ending balances by account for each fund at the end of the year, as well as the fund balances, cash on hand for each of the funds, and a list of the transactions for the month of December. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on any of that budget information. All right. See, now the next item would be the adoption of the, or presentation of the 2024 budget. All right. So as way of a little history, we have distributions from 2018 to 2023, totals by each economic development area. You can kind of see the trends here that over from 2018 to current. And then this chart here breaks down the settlements. The Redevelopment Commission receives the TIF disbursements after the spring and fall taxes are due, so they're dispersed in June and December then of each year. You can kind of see then how they were tracking historically. In 2023, we received $6,098,046.27 in TIF revenue. For 2024, we project that we will receive $5,376,294.08. Our current cash on hand is about $9.3 million, and we have $4.9 million in open POs from last year. Our total available then cash on hand minus POs that would be available to appropriate, 9.8 million, and the budget presentation before you appropriate 6.8, leaving about 2.9 million in reserve, which is 30%. State Board does like us to keep at least 10 to 15% in reserve in each of the funds. And that is an aggregate across all funds. You'll notice when we go through that some funds appropriate almost all but 10%, and some are leaving a little bit more than that. Starting with Wyatt, we ended Wyatt Economic Development Area with a cash on hand of 364,000. We have 96,000 in POs carried forward and expect to bring in about 20,000 in TIF this year, leaving 289,000 available to appropriate. And we are asking for 85,000 be appropriated, leaving 204,000 still in the fund. New Carlisle Economic Development Area, there is a change from last year to this year. We have added 2 allocation areas last year. The only expected revenue would be the land, because land can't be abated. So those 2 allocation areas are expected to get just with that land value. So for allocation area number 1, has a cash on hand of 4.2 million. We're expecting 2.2 million in revenue. I'm sorry, we have 2.2 million in POs from last year, expecting 1.7, leaving 3.7 million available. And we're, for your consideration, would be appropriating 2.6 million, leaving 1 million cash on hand. Economic Development Area number 2 had an ending balance of about 2 million, carry forward 1.8 in POs with an expected revenue of 2.27. So for this area, we're asking for an appropriation of 1.97, leaving 526,000 cash on hand at the end of the year, then, should all of the monies be expended. And of course, any monies that aren't expended remain in the fund for appropriation for next year. GM Flex Fund, if you remember, was set up as part of the development agreement, so we just need to keep the $1 million available to be spent on any of those infrastructure needs pursuant to that agreement. Our new Economic Development Area number 3 in New Carlisle started with $0 because it's brand new. We're expecting about 38,000 and would like 30,000 of that appropriated. Same with the new Economic Development Area number 4. AM General, we had an ending cash balance of 1.5 million with almost 700,000 in POs we're carrying forward, and are expecting just under 600,000 for the year. And between those 2 line items in that request, we're asking for 825,000. Northwest Cleveland, we have no POs open in that, and 603,000 cash on hand, and we're expecting another 620,000 this year. There is an anticipated road improvement project in that TIF area that, which is what most of the, or that economic development appropriation outside of the bond payment would be for that road improvement project. Redevelopment General had 552,000 cash on hand, carrying about 9,000 in POs, and expected $71,797, which is for this, the rental of the parking lot at Mullen Auto. Asking for 151,000 of that to be appropriated. And then there is a separate fund that at the beginning of the resolution, you will see a transfer of funds from one of the New Carlisle Economic Development Areas into the fund that pays the 2019 bond. So this is just the appropriation of the funds that you transferred earlier in the resolution to then be in an account that the auditor's office can use to pay back that bond. Happy to answer any questions on any of the funds or accounts.
I would just note for the record, I mean, Frank has done a great job. Frank has worked with Senator Dalton, trying to really get the numbers. My biggest complaint for years was, how much money do we actually have every year to spend? And so we're finally, I think this is finally the first real budget where I feel comfortable. We know what we have. We've tied up POs for projects that we've got expenses for, and we really are in a good spot to know going forward. We're a little concerned if you looked at some of the revenues, some of the revenues in some of the areas have dipped, and so we're doing research trying to figure out why that is. And hopefully we'll get some answers on that. But again, the other problem we run into is our money comes in two cycles. It comes in at the beginning, or kind of like summer, and then winter. If everybody pays their property taxes in the summer, then we get a lot of money, and it looks great, and then you don't have as much money in the December disbursement. So it's a weird way to budget, and it's a weird way to do this, but I will tell you, Frank has done a great job putting this all together, and so we just appreciate that. Again, very conservative budget. It will probably be back to make some changes along the way, but we're excited, and gives us flexibility to do a lot of projects this year, too, so.
No, kudos, Frank. The attention to detail and organization is outstanding. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
For transparency's sake, and since this is my first time serving at the beginning of the year, what's the relationship between what we're approving today and what the county council appropriates in terms of the budget?
So the county council appropriates the general fund and several other funds. The council has no control over TIF budgets. So
Okay.
this is all of the increment within our economic development areas that then comes to you, and you're the authority that appropriates that fund.
Okay.
She wasn't referring to you.
Didn't like my
Sounded a
question.
little-
Yes, somebody on chat is being very inappropriate.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh, do we need to?
Do you need to help deal with that, please?
He keeps going in and out.
Must be the cold weather.
No, he can't go back in.
Sorry for that interruption.
Oh, no. No, that answers my question. Thank you.
Right. So is there a motion to approve Resolution 2024-01?
so moved.
Second?
Any questions? Hearing none.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
The next item in the packet, so we, today, ironically, if you look at the amended calendar, proposed amended calendar, we're listed to have a meeting today as opposed to a special meeting. We've added a second meeting in February and March per the need to get some of these projects moving. So what we thought was easier, instead of calling them special meetings all the time, just adopt a new calendar that actually put them on as regular meetings. We'll advertise that they're regular meetings and proceed accordingly. But we'd ask for your approval on this amended calendar, please.
Is there a motion to approve the amended calendar?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
You doing that? Okay.
Professional services agreement.
Professional services agreement. This would be the third year for this agreement with Compass Asset Management. It is a $9,000 retainer for them, and they assist with real estate services as needed. And we would ask that you approve this professional services proposal with Compass Asset Management.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution 2024-02. In your packet that originally went out, the heading on the agenda was wrong. It referenced the redevelopment authority item. This is the corrected, it was correct in the packet, so the actual resolution in your packet before you today. This is a resolution of the redevelopment commission establishing certain funds and accounts in connection with the lease dated as of December 13, 2023 between the South St. Joseph County Redevelopment Authority and the St. Joseph County Redevelopment Commission and all matters related thereto. I'm going to ask Phil Facenda to make a brief presentation on this, please.
Thank you, Bill. Members of the commission, Phil Facenda, 201 South Main Street, South Bend, Barnes and Thornburg here as special counsel to the county. The title of the resolution basically provides its use. What we're doing is setting up within the resolution a principal and interest account to pay annually from TIF revenues and other available revenues for the lease rental or the debt service on the bonds that we will eventually issue for the projects in the IEC. So that essentially sets up those accounts. This resolution sets up those accounts, authorizes annually for the redevelopment commission in August of every year when all the units are doing their budgeting to set aside the necessary funds to pay debt service for the year. And therefore, as you know, these are property tax-backed bonds, but it's not anticipated that property tax would be levied. So you set aside the funds in order so that the levy does not have to take place. This is similar in structure to the double track bonds that the county and redevelopment commission are familiar with. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Ward. It's funny, they actually said they would pay better on review though, didn't they? They never even get private. I'm thinking.
Early public comment.
Okay. Any questions of any kind?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sure. So is there a motion to approve Resolution 2024-02?
So moved?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
So the next item on the agenda is a professional service agreement for Lockmuller Group to design and provide design-related services for Fillmore Road and Larison Boulevard project. Earlier today, we received bids to put water line in Fillmore, and at some point, we got to put a road back on top of it. So what we're looking to do here with this contract, Fillmore Road will be the main entrance into the GM facility, so this will be the main truck drive into the facility. The current road is built to county road standards. Not only will GM use this road, but R&L Carrier that is previously, or is an existing business, will use this road, so we'll need to upgrade the road. This will also include intersection improvements at Larison and Fillmore, as well as improvement design, planning for Larison Boulevard itself, both north and south to the intersection of State Road 2 and Larison. So the proposal before you today is a design contract in the amount of $323,450. This is in line, and it's been reviewed by our project management team. We believe this will cover all the work that we need for this part of the project. We've got to have road back in place, or Fillmore Road has to be built per the development agreement by the end of this calendar year. So it's just another piece in the process of moving all these projects ahead. So we'd ask for your favorable approval of this proposal, please.
The addition or the improvement of the road is 0.4 of a mile. I assume as we move forward that we don't, in a near future, need to extend that?
Fillmore Road? No, so Fillmore.
Just the
Road-
improvement, I mean,
Oh, yeah, so really, so there's a lot of projects. So as we move the ditch from where it currently is to the east, it'll line up almost just to the west of Spruce Road. At Spruce Road, there'll be a new crossing structure. At the west side of the crossing structure will be the gatehouse for GM and the entry point. So 4/10 of a mile is really from the west edge of the bridge. This project won't design, or it's not a bridge, it's a crossing structure. Length has everything to do with that. So it'll be from the east edge of the crossing structure to the west edge of the intersection that will really be the design element. So that's where the 4/10 of a
Okay.
mile are.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next thing on the agenda, there are two requests to advertise. So the first request to advertise is for pre-qualification. It's a pre-qualification package for the St. Joseph Energy Center Water Treatment Plant, Phase 2 and Phase 3. What we've chosen to do as far as the water plant project is go out for pre-qualification of contractors. As part of that, what we've done is put together a list of qualifications that a contractor must meet to be able to apply to bid on this project. This project will come out for bid, I believe it's in February, after we've received the pre-qualification. So we'll receive the pre-qualifications, review those, and then put together a list of potential bidders for the project. Because of the complicated nature of the project, because water treatment plants are a little more intricate as far as construction, that would be how this project would be managed, is through these pre-qualified bids. I would also note that as the pre-qualification documents state, that the winning bidder for Phase 2 would be then considered for Phase 3, because the construction really will just continue as the projects move forward. So what we'd ask for is your approval of the request to advertise. We'd advertise the 26th and 2nd with South Bend Tribune, the 25th and the 1st with the Mishawaka Enterprise, and then we would open these bid packages on February 13th with the Redevelopment Commission. We will also be asking the redevelopment, or the Board of Commissioners, for permission to advertise also. Because of the way we're structuring the funding for these projects, we have to get both bodies to approve. So we're making this request today, then we'll go ask Tuesday for their approval to advertise.
13th, okay. Is there a motion to approve the request to advertise, subject to the commissioners also approving it?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The second request to advertise is for the Larison Force Main and Lift Station project. This project, very similar, is one where it has to be done as part of the development requirements for the General Motors project, but also to meet the requirements of several other projects in that area. Larison Force Main was built very specifically to manage the sewer capacity, wastewater capacity out of R&L carriers. So very small lift station. This will be a replacement to that lift station facility to service a much larger service area. Again, what we'd ask for is the ability to advertise with the Mishawaka Enterprise on the 25th and 1st, and the South Bend Tribune on the 26th and 2nd. We'll also have to go to the Board of Commissioners for their approval to advertise, but would ask for your approval today for the advertisement.
Is there a motion to approve the advertisement?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I believe the last item on the agenda then is the award of bids. And so we have received bids earlier in the meeting today. After a thorough review by the design team, there was one bid received for the SJEC water transmission main and Fillmore Road Utilities project. That was from HRP Construction. They submitted a base bid as well as a bid alternate. It is recommended that the St. Joseph County Redevelopment Commission award bid alternate number 1 of the SJEC Water Transmission Main and Fillmore Road Utilities Project to HRP Construction Incorporated, who is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder with a contract price in the amount of $5,153,364.50. That's 5153364.50. If there's any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Is there a
My
motion?
recommendation would be if there is an appetite for a motion for approval, that it be a motion for approval subject to the Board of Commissioners approval, which I believe they're hearing not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. Since it's a joint project between the Board of Commissioners and the Redevelopment Commission.
Is there a motion to approve, again, subject to the commissioners approving it in a future meeting?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
This time, there is no further business. And again, I would like to thank you for your flexibility both on Tuesday and today for this meeting.
I have a couple things, if you don't mind, just real quick. I know we gave Frank kudos earlier, but really the whole group. As a business owner, I know how difficult it is for government to work at the speed of business. It's very difficult, and you guys do a great job. And we were reminiscing earlier, probably before I was around, when Dennis was on the Redevelopment Commission and how it met quarterly and some of the goals at that time, and now it's light years ahead of probably where we even thought it would ever be. And then secondly, I just wanted to say, I see Commissioner Fleming here in the audience, and this is our last meeting as her, with her as a commissioner, and Deb actually originally put me on this board, and so I wanted to thank you for that. Thank you for your years of service to St. Joe County. Enjoy retirement.
I second that.
I think everyone seconds that, so thank you. All right, we are now to the public comment section. If anyone would like to speak, it's limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address, and we'd welcome your presentation. Okay, seeing none in person. Is there anyone online that has their hand up? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Coffee today. A lot of coffee today.
I've been dealing with this for about 6 weeks.
Well, just because it's just 3 of us.
Right. A little variety.
Sorry, I should have told you that before.